Hello, I'm finally back for some more talks about existence. Anything, everything, what's out there, what's going on, what's this all about. And I've got some really good stuff I want to read here, and then I'll tell you where it's from. Probably can guess it anyway. But it kind of gets down to the thick of it, and some of it's hard to understand what it's actually getting at. But give it a shot and then try to explain it as best I can, which is limited, and talking about God and deity and divine stuff, spiritual things that are invisible and we can understand on certain levels, like as truth, justice, love, courage, honesty. Those things are those invisible intangibles that, in my opinion, are part of that spiritual realm more so than uh, physicalness, material matter. But anyway, just kind of get down to it. Here we go. It's just going to be a read and then talk a little bit, maybe in between too. As the world settled in life progressed from the initial stage to the seventh epoch, they successfully grasped for the realization of the reality of God, the sevenfold, ranging from the adoration of the Creator Son to the worship of His Paradise Father. Throughout the continuing seventh stage of such a world's history, the ever progressing mortals grow in the knowledge of God the Supreme, while they vaguely discern the reality of the overshadowing ministry of God the Ultimate. Throughout this glorious age, the chief pursuit of the ever advancing mortals is the quest for a better understanding and a fuller realization of the comprehensible elements of deity, truth, beauty, and goodness. Those are the trying to understand the fuller realization of the comprehensible elements of deity, truth, beauty, and goodness. This represents man's effort to discern God in mind, matter, and spirit. And as the mortal pursues this quest, he finds himself increasingly absorbed in the experiential study of philosophy, cosmology, and divinity. Philosophy you somewhat grasp, and divinity you comprehend and worship. Social service and personal spiritual experience. But the pursuit of beauty, cosmology, you all too often limit to the study of man's crude artistic endeavors. Beauty art is largely a matter of the unification of contrasts. Variety is essential to the concept of beauty. The supreme beauty, the height of finite art, is the drama, the unification of the vastness of the cosmic extremes of creator and creature. Man finding God and God finding man. The creature becoming perfect as is the creator. That is the supernal achievement of the supremely beautiful, the attainment of the apex of cosmic art. Hence, materialism, atheism, is the maximum of ugliness, the climax of the finite antithesis of the beautiful. Highest beauty consists in the panorama of the unification of variations which have been born of pre existent harmonious reality. The attainment of cosmological levels of thought includes, number one, curiosity, hunger for harmony and thirst for beauty, persistent attempts to discover new levels of harmonious cosmic relationships. Number two, aesthetic appreciation, love of the beautiful and ever advancing appreciation of the artistic touch of all creative manifestations on all levels of reality. Number three, ethic sensitivity. Through the realization of truth, the appreciation of beauty leads to the sense of the eternal fitness of those things which impinge upon the recognition of divine goodness and deity relations with all beings. And thus, even cosmology leads to the pursuit of divine reality values, to God consciousness. Let's read that one again. Ethnic sensitivity. Number three. Through the realization of truth, the appreciation of beauty leads to the sense of eternal fitness of those things which impinge upon the recognition of divine goodness in deity relations with all beings. And thus, even cosmology leads to the pursuit of divine reality values, to God consciousness. The world's settled enlightened life are so fully concerned with the comprehension of truth, beauty, and goodness because these quality values embrace the revelation of deity to the realms of time and space. The meanings of eternal truth make a combined appeal to the intellectual and spiritual natures of mortal man. Universal beauty embraces the harmonious relations and rhythms of the cosmic creation. This is more distinctly the intellectual appeal and leads towards unified and synchronous comprehension of the material universe. Let me read that one again. Universal beauty embraces the harmonious relations and rhythms of the cosmic creations. This is more distinctly the intellectual appeal and leads towards unified and synchronous comprehension of the material universe. Divine goodness represents the revelation of infinite values to the finite mind. Therein, to be perceived and elevated to the very threshold of the spiritual level of human comprehension. Truth is the basis of science and philosophy, presenting the intellectual foundation of religion. Beauty sponsors art, music, and the meaningful rhythms of all human experience. Goodness embraces the sense of ethics, morality, and religion. Experiential perfection hunger. That's how they define religion here. Experiential perfection hunger. Be perfect even as I am perfect in heaven is what the Father, and Jesus the Son both said, is my understanding. All right, back to the read. The existence of beauty implies the presence of appreciative creature mind just as certainly as the fact of progressive evolution indicates the dominance of the supreme mind. Beauty is the intellectual recognition of the harmonious time-space synthesis of the far-flung diversification of phenomenal reality, all of which stems from pre-existent and eternal oneness. Goodness is the mental recognition of the relative values of the diverse levels of divine perfection. The recognition of goodness implies a mind of moral status, a personal mind with the ability to discriminate between good and evil. But the possession of goodness, greatness, is a measure of real divinity attainment. The recognition of truth relations implies a mind competent to discriminate between truth and error. The bestowed spirit of truth, which invests the human minds of Urantian unerringly responsive to truth, the living spirit relationship of all things and all beings as they are coordinated in the eternal ascent Godward. Every impulse of every electron, thought, or spirit is an acting unit in the whole universe. Only sin is isolated in evil gravity resisting on the mental and spiritual levels. That one's deep. Like, only sin is isolated in evil gravity resisting on the mental and spiritual levels. The universe is a whole. No thing or being exists on or lives in isolation. Self-realization is potentially evil if it is antisocial. It is literally true. Quote, no man lives by himself, quote. Who said that? Huh? Cosmic socialization constitutes the highest form of personality unification. Said Jesus, he who would be greatest among you, let him become server of all. Even truth, beauty, and goodness, man's intellectual approach to the universe of mind, matter, and spirit, must be combined into one unified concept of a divine and supreme ideal. As mortal personality unifies the human experience with matter, mind, and spirit, so does this divine and supreme ideal become power unified in supremacy and then personalized as a God of fatherly love. all insight into the relations of the parts to any given whole require an understanding grasp of the relation of all parts to that whole. And in the universe, this means the relation of created parts to the created whole. Creative whole. So this is all insight, everything to know into the relations of the parts to any given whole requires an understanding grasp of the relation of all parts to that whole. And in the universe, this means the relation of created parts to the creative whole. Deity thus becomes the transcendental, even the infinite goal of universal and eternal attainment. Deity. Universal beauty. I'm going to pause it. All right, back. Universal beauty is the recognition of the reflection of the Isle of Paradise in the material creation, while eternal truth is the special ministry of the Paradise Sons, who not only bestow themselves upon the mortal races, but even pour out their spirit of truth upon all peoples. My understanding that was at Pentecost. Spirit of truth, the Comforter. A little different than the Holy Spirit, but other people will tell you, oh, they're the same, but this book doesn't. This reading, it differentiates between the Spirit of truth, actually is the Creator Sons, or Christ Michael's, the Paradise Creator Son that incarnated Jesus, that he poured out his spirit. When you have Jesus' spirit in you, that's what they're talking about, spirit of truth. Actually, it can be with everyone, all ages. Most Christians are going to tell you it's the Holy Spirit. That's okay. You don't have to argue. You don't have to get upset. It's why God is the judge of all, and whoever he assigns judgment, that's his realm. We're in his realm, regardless of what level you're on, if it be physical, astral, or causal, which could be material, the morontial, midway in between, and then the causal, or is the idea, the heaven of heavens. So anyway, back to the reading. So divine goodness is more fully shown forth in the loving ministry of the manifold personalities of the infinite spirit. But love, the sum total of these three qualities, is man's perception of God as his spirit father. Read that paragraph again. Universal beauty is the recognition of the reflection of the Isle of Paradise in the material creation, while eternal truth is the special ministry of the Paradise Sons, who not only bestow themselves upon mortal races, but even pour out their spirit of truth upon all peoples. Divine goodness is more fully shown forth in the love ministry of the manifold personalities of the infinite spirit. But love, the sum total of these three qualities, is man's perception of God as Spirit Father. It's his Spirit Father. Physical matter is the time-space shadow of the paradise energy shining of the absolute deities, and that energy shining is hyphenated. Physical matter is the time-space shadow of the paradise energy shining of the absolute deities. Truth meanings are the mortal intellect repercussions of the eternal word of deity, the time-space comprehension of supreme concepts. Goodness values of divinity are the merciful ministries of the spirit personalities of the universal, the eternal, and the infinite to the time-space finite creatures of the evolutionary spheres. These meaningful reality values of divinity are blended in the Father's relation with each personal creature as divine love. They are coordinated in the Son and his sons as divine mercy. They manifest their qualities through the spirit and his spirit children as divine ministry, the portrayal of loving mercy to the children of time. These three divinities are primarily manifested by the Supreme Being as power personality synthesis. They are variously shown forth by God the Sevenfold in seven differing associations of divine meanings and values on seven ascending levels, 7 circuits to paradise, from the lowest circuit material realm. To finite man, truth, beauty, and goodness embrace the full revelation of divine reality, divinity reality. Probably same thing, but divinity reality is what it says. As this love comprehension of deity finds spiritual expression in the lives of God-knowing mortals, there are yielded the fruits of divinity, intellectual peace, social progress, moral satisfaction, spiritual joy, and cosmic wisdom. These are what they call fruits of divinity. The advanced mortals on a world in the seventh stage of light in life have learned that love is the greatest thing in the universe, and they know that God is love. Love is a desire to do good to others. That's simple sentence. Love is a desire to do good to others. Think about that anytime you have anger or service in your mind. That's the end of that paper, and that's the end of part 2 of the Rancher book. That's on truth, goodness, and beauty. It's pretty deep, and some of it's probably incomprehensible. A lot of it to me is hard to understand, and I've gone back and had to look at what God the Sevenfold means, and it's basically the approach of us getting to the perfected God level by first recognizing creator sons, particularly of our local universe, which according to this book has 10 million potentially inhabited planets still being formed. It's a finite creation. God the Supreme is actualizing in not only this local universe, but in the whole 7 super universes, which there's giant material creations that circulate the Isle of Paradise, and there's so much more to all that. I'm sure if you go back to my older videos, you can see drawings I have, and I haven't quite broken down the whole spirit personality. There's a ton of them. There's a lot to know, and I had not really had a great grasp on where I was going with some of these personalities. I've learned a lot more, and been really researching different religions to try and put it all together. So I've been reading a lot about some Hindu religion and yoga. They call yogi, and from actually some of these gurus, and there's Gandhi, of course. I just come across him in this book, autobiography of Paramahansa Yogananda, something like that. That's probably not pronounced right, but that's how I pronounce it in my head, and it's probably off still. But anyway, this guy brought a certain type of yoga to United States, and it's not like the yoga exercise it is, but it's different. It's like meditation, and there's different types of that even. And I'm reading his autobiography, and I'm almost done with it. But he talks about Gandhi and embracing all religions, and trying to come to a common truth, and regardless of where you're at in your belief, and what I think is eventually, approaching deity on and highest you can get, you're gonna eventually realize the creator son, this paradise son that came forth from the Father and was sent here on a mission, incarnated on this particular planet, even chose this planet to express what it is to be a creature in this world. He came down to our level, and this book also talks about how he had 6 other missions before this mission in the flesh. So talking about the parts being part of the whole, and understanding the whole, and knowing what each part does. That's what these creator sons do, and in this level, my understanding, they manifest in these missions of bestowals on different phases in the universe that they created with the creative spirits. They call it daughter of creative spirit, or divine mother, divine minister. Sorry, there's a lot of names for these different personalities, and they have, when they're not complete, they have different stages that they go through. So our actual creator son Jesus. He's also known as Michael of Nebadon. Is, in my understanding, a master son now because he's done his seventh epistle. So when he was on the cross and he did say it is finished, it wasn't just finished for this mission, it was finished for becoming sovereign of his whole universe. It wasn't something that he was just given, he earned it. And some of the personalities that he created that rebelled have been supposedly, in my understanding, taken care of as far as not running amok on this planet, possessing or their minions possessing any weaker minds or whatnot. Back in Jesus' day, when these unclean spirits could influence people, and so that's not going on. Supposedly, there might still be some negative influence. I mean, there's free will, so if you choose wrong or choose erroneously, or you have guilt to help you course your way through life, and maybe some people have less or don't care or whatever. But that's the understanding difference between evil and good. That's something that's debatable through the ages, and whatever. But I just wanted to get this out there with this particular section. It's a little harder. Come understands like who's this God sevenfold, the supreme being, and the Creator, Son, Paradise Father. I mean, what's all this, the Isle of Light, But if you want more answers, there's this book, the Rancher book. I call it Tub for short. And I've got past videos if you want to look past them. I believe they're still on here. But anyway, I hope to do some more, and I've got a lot more scroll work I've done. I've got a whole nother giant 100-foot scroll that barely even been on video at all, and I'm working on a third scroll with completely just the life of Jesus and breaking down even his last year and a half of ministry, all of it, your answer book, and other sources. I'll pick out any source, and regardless of its accuracy, I like the information overlap, and to understand truth, I think you gotta look inside, and what Jeremiah was it 31:9, I think, somewhere around there, talks about the new covenant of writing truth in the hearts of men and the minds of men. Anyway, I'm gonna have to get to go. I'm running out of video space. I love you guys, and hope everyone can feel the presence of God in their lives and understand what goodness, truth, and beauty is all about. And there's this book that's sitting around and can be read, and then can go do. Doing's the best. All right, peace out.